So this week we're getting back to basics. As you can see here, the leaves are on the ground. It is looking super frosty. You can even see my breath. So that means one thing, it's winter, wet muddy lies around the green, making it very, very hard to chip. So in today's video, I'm going to take control of your chipping this winter, give you some simple tips, some simple advice to help you stop duffing those chips this winter. So as you can see here, it is super wet, super muddy, and it makes it very, very hard to assure contact. Now, as soon as it gets this time of year, I see a lot of people do some things which make it harder to chip with. So what are they? So straight away we see some wet, we see muddy lie. People tend to get this ball too far back in their stance, way too far forward, a lot of shaft lean, and then really feel and really worry about this digging effect and duffing effect of the golf ball and the strike. Now, as you can see there, the further that I get this ball back in the stance, the more the shaft leans forward, the more we expose this area of the golf club. And this area of the golf club is called the leading edge. The more we expose the leading edge, the more chance we've got of that duff strike. Now, we hit one of those shots here, and I'm going to play one of those away. Ball back, hands forward, we feel quite comfortable. Okay, we duff it. Ah, no, duffed it. So what do we do now? We tend then to get the ball even further back in our stance, to really try and feel like we get the strike, and then we get one that fires off. So by getting the ball too far back in our stance is actually doing ourselves more harm than it is good this winter. So what setup techniques do we want to adopt to make sure we strike it just as good off the wet muddy lie this winter as we do when we're chipping in the summer? So straight away we've highlighted that getting the ball too far back in our stance, getting too much forward shaft lean really exposes this area of the golf club. Now we don't want that to happen. So what do we want to happen? First off, we've highlighted that we don't want this leading edge to dig into the ground. So we're going to make some adjustments in our setup and then a feeling in your technique to stop that digging action happen, give you some confidence and allow you to chip that club away without that leading edge digging. So this is going to feel very strange to begin with, and we highlighted straight away that a lot of people get the ball too far back and the hands too far forward. So what I really want to condone here is that we're going to have a setup where we have a ball position which is in the middle of our stance. So I want you to feel like your zip line is exactly in the middle of your stance and your ball position is on that zip line. From there, I want you to feel like you've got a stance that's just wide of club head width apart. So quite a narrow stance, and I like that feeling of making these short 10-15 yard chips. I think it's a really good feeling to have. From here, I want you to imagine you've got a ball to target line which runs all the way to this flag just in front of me here. This is going to feel like our shoulders stay parallel to that, but we're going to feel as though we pull the left foot back. So our hips are slightly open, but our shoulders are pointing towards a target. Simple terms, this just helps us that feeling of moving through the golf ball because we haven't got that speed we have in a full shot to create that movement. It's just a preset. So in, shoulders, pull the left foot back. You'll notice here, because I've got this ball in the middle of my stance now, my shaft angle is a lot more neutral. It's not too far leaning forward, it's not behind the golf ball. And what this does is, this really allows us to start using the bottom of this club, the bounce. I want you to picture this bounce is going to glide through the water, it's going to glide through the wet muddy lie, and it's going to allow you to make an easier strike. So the analogy that I want to use is, imagine the bottom of this club, the bounce area, is a plane, okay? I've heard this expression before. I don't want this plane to dig, so crash land, we don't want that to happen. We don't want it to abort the landing and scoop the ball up. We want to have that feeling from our neutral setup with our hands on the golf ball, not too far ahead with the ball in the middle of the stance. Can we get the bottom of our golf club gliding along this ground and really feeling like the landing of a plane is just touching its wheels down. So it's not crash landing, it's not aborting the landing, it's just touching the wheels down. And I really like that analogy because it really frees you up. Okay, let's hit these two away and show you what it's like. So pick our target, shoulders parallel, pull the left foot back, weight onto the left hand side, hands into the middle, feel like my hands are neutral, they're not too far ahead. Can I get the wheels of the plane just to touch down? Okay, nice shot. I think the thing that you've got to bear in mind here is you're always probably going to take a divot when it's this wet as it is now, but it's the feeling of taking a shallow divot, not letting the club dig in. Okay, chip this one away now. Neutral, weight left, left foot pulled back, shoulders parallel, neutral hands. Don't let the wrists get too much involved. Can I start here? Can I come back to this position? And that really gives me a good freeze frame. So imagine I got a screenshot now. Can I swing back? Can I come back here? Do those freeze frames look the same? Can I pass it through to target? That's a better one. Really nice little bruising divot, giving me a good assured contact in these wet conditions. Another way that I like to do this is, imagine you're going to make a few practice swings now just with one hand. So we'll take that setup, shoulders parallel, pull the left foot back, weight into the left, ball in the middle of the stance, and a narrow stance as well. If you're going to do it one-handed, it'd be very easy to get this bottom of the club brushing the ground. If you did it one-handed and got the leading edge digging, it would feel very kind of awkward, very different. So if we could have that same analogy of the wheels touching down and made a few practice swings just with our right hand for a right-handed player and our left hand for a left-handed player, and get the feeling of the wheels just touching down, chest through to target, gives you a good feeling of what we're trying to achieve. Gets you using the bounce and stop using that leading edge. So let's summarize today's video. Really nice and simple. We want to stop using the leading edge, we want to start using the bounce, and that is all about setup. So we want to change that ball position from being too far back and too much forward shaft lean to a much more central ball position and a much more central shaft lean. So ultimately, not really any shaft lean at all. And the analogy that I want to use is, can we get the wheels touching down as opposed to the leading edge digging in? So in an ideal world, we don't want this to happen, where the leading edge is digging in. We want to feel the wheels are just going to touch down. So the analogy of the plane, not a crash land, not an abort on the landing, we want to feel like we're just going to get the bottom of this club just touching the ground. It's really nice and simple expression, gives you some freedom and gives you ability to take my tips straight to the course. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if you're already a subscriber, bell notification. Don't miss any of the daily content.